you might want to think about just turning that on.
One of the biggest pain points that CISOs have is the user that doesn't turn on very often.
Yeah, one of the big problems our customers do have is dark devices. And so one of the cool things that's starting to get embedded into that hardware layer is the ability to actually use cellular networks and out-of-band networks, so you can actually still send a signal to that device and have it wake up, have it be located, perform different actions. So even if something breaks at operating system application, you can still perform these sort of management recovery actions.
Another issue that we have is people that travel to locations that we're not supposed to be traveling to and not telling us. Can your software product also identify those?
Yeah, actually the sort of origin story for the company is really doing this kind of track and trace or LoJack for laptops. It really emerged first in the education sector, where if you think back in the 90s and what a laptop cost back then, now you're handing these things to teenagers and 10-year-olds. That's a pretty expensive asset to put in the hands of the kids. And so we've evolved from that education use case where being able to do that location, making sure that that device isn't given to somebody else to do the work. So being able to ground that location in the firmware in an uncamperable, known and trusted way becomes really important in those kinds of use cases.
That is pretty important. So Adam, with 140 companies under your portfolio, how do you keep track of identifying and detecting threats?
When we think about guardrails, right, we don't think about applying hard controls to the companies. We think about empowering them to be successful. So coordinating with them, coaching them, helping them establish the means and processes they need to identify the threats. They then go deploy the tools, make the things happen, do that type of work.
I'd love to talk about the customer for a minute and how the product works, how the platform works.
So there's a really simple procedure that our customer does to essentially run a tiny little installer. And from there, they can start to pick and choose which of our overall capability sets they want to enable. Everything from that basic track and trace geolocation to self-healing to remote repair and recovery, patching and remediation. And one of the things we're really excited about is something we call rehydrate ready. And one of the things we've seen over the years is that we have customers who have an event and then they contact us and say, oh, we know your stuff is in there. Can you help us now? Sometimes we can, but a lot of cases we can't because we just weren't activated. We're putting out an offer now that basically any company can go and make their endpoint rehydrate ready, prepare in advance, no upfront costs, just get the thing provisioned out. And I would say to someone like Adam across from portfolio companies, you might want to think about just turning that on.